Want to know if she's actually into you, or just being polite. Here's a test. Think about how she acts around you. Now think about how she acts around the guy she's really attracted to. Not the same. Is it? Most men don't want to see this. They'd rather believe she's just shy or taking it slow or not a texter. But deep down, you already sense something's off. You just can't put your finger on exactly what. Here's the thing. There are specific behaviors women do with men they're genuinely attracted to that they never do with men. They're just being polite to bolt. And once you know what to look for, you can't unsee it. The difference isn't subtle. It's not about reading between the lines or decoding hidden signals. It's obvious, if you know where to look. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another video telling you you're not good enough, hear me out. This isn't about making you feel bad. This is about giving you something most men never get: the ability to read exactly where you stand without guessing, without hoping, without wasting months on someone who is never going to choose you. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you 7 specific contrasts between how women treat the man they want and how they treat everyone else. These are the behaviors that reveal everything, and once you see them, you'll never misread the situation again. Let's get into it. Now, before we dive in, I want to be clear about something. This isn't about making you feel like you're not good enough. And it's definitely not about teaching you how to manipulate anyone or play games. This is about giving you clarity. The kind of clarity that lets you make real decisions based on real information, not hopes, not maybes, not she's probably just busy. I'm sharing this from a woman's perspective because these are the things we rarely say out loud. We don't announce when we're just being polite. We don't explain why we treat one guy differently from another. But the patterns are there, and once you see them, everything starts to make sense. So if you've ever wondered why she seems different with him than she is with you, you're about to understand exactly why. Here's the reality most men live in. You meet someone. You like her. You think things are going well. But something feels off. You can't quite name it. She responds, but not quickly. She agrees to plans, but something always comes up. She's nice to you, but you've seen her be nicer to someone else. And instead of trusting that instinct, you explain it away. She's busy. She's not a big texter. She's just more comfortable with him because they've known each other longer. But here's what happens when you keep ignoring that instinct. You invest weeks, sometimes months, into something that was never going anywhere. You pour energy into someone who already made up her mind about you, long before you even realized there was a decision being made. And the hardest part, while you're wondering where you stand, she already knows. Her friends know the guy she actually wants. He definitely knows. The only person who doesn't know is you. That's not your fault. Nobody teaches men how to read these signals. Society tells you to just be yourself and the right one will come along. But nobody shows you how to tell the difference between a woman who's interested and a woman who's just being polite. And that confusion has a cost. It's paid in wasted time, in emotional energy spent on someone who was never going to choose you, in the quiet frustration of always feeling like you're one step behind, always the last to know. Meanwhile, the men who understand these signals, they don't chase women who aren't interested. They don't waste months decoding mixed messages. They know where they stand, and they act accordingly. That's the difference I want to give you today. Not tricks. Not manipulation. Just the ability to see what's actually happening, so you can make real decisions instead of hopeful guesses. It starts with understanding the 7 contrasts. Here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to walk you through 7 specific contrasts, the behaviors that reveal exactly how a woman feels about you versus how she feels about someone else. We'll start with the obvious ones. how her energy shifts, how she treats your time, how physically close she wants to be. Then we'll go deeper into what she shares with you, how she talks about you when you're not around, and what she does when something more important comes up. By the end, you won't need to guess anymore. You'll have a complete framework for reading the situation accurately, and the clarity to decide what to do about it. Let's start with the first contrast. The first contrast is energy. When a woman is genuinely interested in a man, you can feel it. Her energy shifts. She lights up when he walks in. Her voice changes, a little higher, a little more animated. She laughs at things that aren't even that funny. She finds reasons to keep the conversation going even when there's nothing left to say. But when she's just being polite, the energy is flat, functional. She responds, but there's no spark. The conversation doesn't flow. It just happens. And when it ends, she doesn't try to extend it. This shows up everywhere. In texts, the woman who's interested sends longer messages. She asks follow-up questions. She uses more exclamation points, more emojis, more effort. She responds quickly, not because she's playing a game, but because she genuinely wants to. The woman who's just being polite. Short replies. Delayed responses. No questions back. She's participating, but she's not invested. Here's the thing most men miss. This energy gap isn't something she's doing consciously. She's not sitting there thinking, I'll be cold to this one and warm to that one. It's automatic. Attraction creates enthusiasm. Politeness doesn't. So if you're always the one adding energy to the conversation, always the one keeping it alive, that's the first sign. But energy alone doesn't tell the full story, because how she uses her time reveals even more. The second contrast is time. When a woman is interested, she makes time. Not finds time, makes it. She rearranges her schedule. She says yes to plans without hesitation. She suggests alternatives if the first option doesn't work. She treats spending time with you as something she wants to do, not something she has to fit in. When she's just being polite, it's the opposite. Plans are vague. Maybe next week. Let me check my schedule. I'll let you know. And when something does get scheduled, cancellations happen. Not once, regularly. Something always comes up. Here's the difference. With the guy she wants, she protects the time. With you, she borrows from it when nothing better is happening. This doesn't mean she's a bad person. She might genuinely like you as a friend. She might enjoy your company when it's convenient. But there's a gap between I'll hang out if I'm free and I want to see you. Watch how quickly she responds when you suggest plans. Watch how often she initiates. Watch what happens when there's a conflict. Does she find a way to make it work, or does she let it slide? Time is one of the most honest signals. People make time for what matters to them. If you're always waiting to see if she's available, that tells you something. And the next contrast makes this even clearer, because proximity reveals what words try to hide. The third contrast is proximity. When a woman is attracted to a man, she wants to be close to him. Physically close. She finds reasons to touch his arm when she laughs. She leans in during conversation. She positions herself near him in group settings, not by accident, but by instinct. This isn't calculated. It's automatic. Attraction makes her want to close the distance. With a man, she's just being polite. There's space. A comfortable, maintained distance. She might be friendly, but she's not leaning in. She's not finding excuses for contact. The invisible barrier stays up. Here's what this looks like in practice. When she's interested, she doesn't flinch when you get close. She mirrors your body language. If your knees touch under the table, she doesn't pull away. She might even be the one who initiates a hand on your shoulder, a playful nudge, standing just a little too close. When she's not, she keeps the bubble intact. She's pleasant, but she's not closing gaps. If anything, she might create more distance without making it obvious. This is one of the hardest things to fake. Words can be polite. Texts can be friendly. But bodies don't lie. Where she positions herself in relation to you tells you more than any conversation ever will. And that physical truth leads to something even more revealing: what she's willing to share with you. The fourth contrast is vulnerability. When a woman is genuinely interested in a man, she opens up. Not immediately, but progressively. She shares things she doesn't share with everyone. Her fears, her dreams, the parts of herself she usually keeps protected. This is one of the most significant signals of real interest, because vulnerability requires trust. And trust requires attraction, not just physical, but emotional. She has to feel safe enough to let her guard down. With a man, she's just being polite. The conversation stays on the surface. Small talk. General topics. Nothing that requires real exposure. She might be friendly, even warm, but she's not letting you see the parts of herself that matter. Here's how this plays out. With the guy she wants, she tells him about the fight she had with her mom. She admits when she's scared about her future. She shares the embarrassing story from college. She lets him see her without the curated version. With you, she keeps it light. Work is fine. Yeah, I've been busy. Nothing much going on. The answers are pleasant but empty. There's no depth because there's no intention to build depth. This isn't cruelty. It's self-protection. Women don't invest emotional vulnerability in men they don't see a future with. It's too risky, too exposing. So if she's sharing surface-level pleasantries while he gets the real version of her, that gap tells you everything. And now that you've seen 4 contrasts, there's one more thing you need to understand. Something most men never find out until it's too late. Here's the contrast that hurts the most. It's not how she treats you. It's how she talks about you when you're not in the room. With the guy she actually wants, she brings him up. She mentions his name in conversations with her friends. She talks about him with that tone, the one that makes everyone know she's interested. She defends him when someone makes a joke. She lights up when someone asks about him. And you might not even exist in those conversations. Or worse, you exist, but you're the he's nice guy. The I don't know, maybe guy. The one she never quite shuts down, but never quite commits to either. This is the status test. And it happens completely outside your awareness. Her friends know where you stand before you do. They've heard her talk about the other guy with excitement. They've heard her talk about you with nothing. No energy. No spark. Just polite acknowledgement that you exist. This is why some men spend months thinking they're building something while everyone around her already knows it's going nowhere. The information is out there. You're just not in the room when it's being shared. Now, I know this is hard to hear, but understanding this contrast is what separates men who waste time from men who read the situation clearly. And the next 3 contrasts will help you do exactly that, starting with how she plans her future. The 5th contrast is future. When a woman sees a real future with a man, she talks about it. Not in a desperate, planning the wedding way, but in small, natural ways. She mentions a concert next month and assumes he'll be there. She talks about a trip she wants to take and includes him in the picture. She references we and us without thinking about it. This is what investment looks like. She's mentally placing him in her future because she wants him there. With a man, she's just being polite. The future stays vague. She doesn't make plans more than a few days out. She avoids anything that implies commitment. We'll see. Maybe. I'm not sure what my schedule looks like yet. This isn't always conscious, but it's always revealing. Here's the test. Does she talk about things that haven't happened yet as if you'll be part of them? Or does she keep everything short-term, flexible, non-committal? The woman who's interested makes you part of the story she's telling herself about her life. The woman who's not keeps the story open, because she's waiting to see who else might show up. That's the difference between being included and being an option. And the next contrast shows you exactly how this plays out when priorities compete. The sixth contrast is priority. When something comes up, when she has to choose between two things, that's when you see the truth. Because priorities reveal themselves under pressure. With the guy she actually wants, she protects the commitment. If something conflicts, she moves the other thing. She doesn't cancel plans with him because something better came up. She cancels other things to keep the plan with him. With you, she's apologetic, but she's flexible. Something came up. Can we reschedule? I totally forgot I had this other thing. And it happens more than once. This is where that energy gap from earlier shows up again. Remember how I said attraction creates enthusiasm? Well, it also creates protection. She guards the time with the guy she wants because she doesn't want to miss it. With you, missing it is manageable. Here's a question worth asking. When there's been a conflict, how does she resolve it? Does she find a way to make it work with you? Or do you become the thing that gets moved? This isn't about keeping score. It's about recognizing patterns. One cancellation means nothing. A pattern of being the backup plan means everything. And that pattern connects directly to the last contrast, the one that ties everything together. The seventh and final contrast is effort. This is the one that ties everything together. Because effort is what all the other contrasts are really measuring. When a woman wants a man, she puts in work. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. She initiates conversations. She remembers things he mentioned and brings them up later. She notices when something's off and asks about it. She goes out of her way to be part of his life. This is what it looks like when someone is invested. With a man, she's just being polite to. The effort is minimal. She responds when you reach out, but she rarely initiates. She's present when you're together, but she doesn't extend herself. She's giving you the polite version, pleasant, but passive. Here's the truth. When a woman wants you, you feel it. There's momentum. There's reciprocity. You're not constantly wondering where you stand because her actions are telling you. When she doesn't, you feel that too. You just don't want to admit it. The effort gap is the summary of everything we've talked about. Energy, to time, proximity, vulnerability, future, priority. All of it shows up in how much effort she puts in. If there's a consistent imbalance, if you're always the one driving, if you're always the one reaching out first, initiating plans, keeping things alive, that's the seventh contrast. And it's the one that tells you everything. Now, here's what it all actually means. Here's the part most people won't tell you. The reason she treats you differently isn't because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you're less attractive, less successful, or less worthy. It's because of how she perceives your status relative to hers. When a woman meets a man she sees as high status, someone she feels she has to earn, her behavior shifts automatically. She becomes more attentive, more engaged, more willing to invest, not because she's playing games, but because something in her psychology activates. When she meets a man she perceives as lower status, or equal status with no challenge, that activation doesn't happen. She's polite. She's friendly. But she's not pursuing. This is the uncomfortable truth. The way she treats you is a reflection of where she's placed you in her mental hierarchy. And that placement happened fast, often within the first few interactions. Now, I know how this sounds. It sounds like I'm saying you need to play status games or pretend to be someone you're not. But that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is this. If she's treating you like the backup option, chasing harder won't fix it. Being nicer won't fix it. Waiting longer won't fix it. Because her perception is already formed. The only two things that ever shift this dynamic are distance or genuine change. And most men try neither, they just keep hoping. So what do you actually do? There are only two moves that work. The first is distance. Not games. Not silent treatment. Just genuine withdrawal of your attention and energy. Stop being so available. Stop initiating. Stop making it easy. This doesn't guarantee she'll come around. But it does one important thing. It creates space for her perception to shift. When you're always there, always reaching out, always available, you confirm the position she's placed you in. When you pull back, you introduce uncertainty. And uncertainty is what makes people reevaluate. If she notices the distance and reaches out, genuinely reaches out, not just a casual check-in, you might have something to work with. If she doesn't, you have your answer. The second move is walking away entirely. Not as a tactic, not to make her jealous, but because you recognize your time and energy deserve to go somewhere, they're valued. This is the harder move, but it's also the one that protects you. Because staying in a dynamic where you're the backup option doesn't just waste time, it erodes your sense of worth. Here's the truth. Some women will never see you the way you want to be seen. And no amount of effort will change that. The healthiest thing you can do is recognize it, accept it, and redirect your energy towards someone who actually wants what you're offering. That's not giving up. That's clarity. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you experienced this? Have you been in a situation where you could feel the difference, where you knew, somewhere inside, that you were being treated differently than someone else? What did you do about it? And looking back, what do you wish you'd known sooner? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And some of the best conversations happen down there. This channel isn't just about decoding signals or understanding dynamics. It's about helping you move through the world with clarity, so you stop wasting energy on situations that were never going to work, and start recognizing the ones that actually will. You deserve to know where you stand. And now, you do. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.